As you all are aware by now, Dynell Catrice Lane, age 34, has been arrested on the following charges: murder in the first degree after deliberation, a Class 1 felony, first degree assault with serious bodily injury with a deadly weapon, which is a Class 3 felony, and child abuse causing death, which is a Class 2 felony in Colorado. Currently, she's being held at the Boulder County Jail, and as many of you know, she will have a hearing this afternoon to be advised of the arrest charges and probably also to have bond considered at 1:30. These charges are arrest charges only. And one of the things I wanted to do was talk about the process for what my office goes through in reviewing the evidence in a case and then making a decision about whether formal charges will be filed. First of all, you should know that I've spoken with the Boulder County coroner, who has advised me that an autopsy of the baby will be conducted most likely tomorrow. There are several questions that I hope an autopsy and the ongoing investigation of the Longmont police will be able to answer. The first one is, what was the sequence of events that led to the death of the baby? The second is, medically, was the baby alive when it was taken from the body of the mother, and for how long? And third, what was the cause of death for the baby? These are issues that will be important for us to know before we make a decision about filing charges. This case raises issues that have recently been addressed by the Colorado legislature in House Bill 131154. We have copies of that. I think those have been passed out. It's now codified in the Colorado statutes at 18.3.5103. This was a statute that was passed by the legislature, sponsored by a local representative of House District 12, Mike Foote, that was intended to help address a situation when someone causes a termination of a pregnancy through a criminal act. And it can be a Class 3 felony if a person intentionally and without consent causes a termination of a pregnancy of another person. We will be reviewing the evidence in this case, working closely with the Longmont Police Department to determine whether charges are appropriate under this statute or any other Colorado criminal laws. I am ethically required to emphasize to you at this time, and of course I would anyway because it's the right thing to do, that Ms. Lane is, of course, presumed innocent unless or until she is convicted beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury in a court of law. I really have no further information to give you at this time. However, I understand the legal issues are interesting, and I'm happy to provide whatever information or answers I can ethically for a few minutes.
We understand that the suspect's husband took her to the hospital. Where does the husband factor into this as well, along with his wife and his whole situation?
That's a very understandable question. And of course, we're dealing with a crime now that is not even 24 hours old. We're investigating every aspect of the case. The Longmont police are doing a very, very thorough investigation, and probably will not be complete with that until sometime next week. And I get pretty regular updates from my staff, but I cannot tell you what the status of any of that is and where that will lead. Just know that we're looking at all appropriate charges and all appropriate suspects based on what the evidence turns out to be. Yes?
Given what you just said, I mean, can you say whether mental health or mental illness would play a role in this case?
I cannot say whether it will. No doubt, if we make a decision to file charges, which again, as I indicated, probably would not be before the end of next week, then Ms. Lane will be provided counsel, and I'm sure her counsel will review whether mental health issues should be raised.
Was that Ms. Lane's house where this incident took place?
I can't, first of all, I'm not absolutely certain what the situation is, and secondly, the police are still investigating the facts. I don't want to comment on the facts of the case.
This is another one you probably
Sure.
can't comment on that, but there's been some, at least it appears that the suspect, Ms. Lane, may have been pregnant and recently lost a baby. Can you shed any light on that?
I cannot. I can tell you that we're looking very thoroughly at Ms. Lane's history, and the police are investigating every aspect.
Can you, without reading
Jim,
this, having
uh-huh.
a chance to read this, and forgive my ignorance, can you explain to the layperson as to perhaps why Longmont so far, your office as well, has not said that there would be murder charges per se?
Sure. Well, the first thing to stress on that, and it's very important, so let me say it again. I think I sort of said it, but I probably wasn't all that clear. A lot of times the public doesn't understand how complicated the process is of reviewing the facts of a case and deciding whether to bring charges. It's really important that we get it right and that we analyze both the legal aspects, which are complicated, and also the factual scenario. The factual scenario, which there's dozens of police officers working on the case right now. There'll be all kinds of parts of that I don't know about, and we'll have to see what it is. The issue of whether or not murder charges are appropriate involving a case involving the death of a fetus or of a late-term pregnancy is always a difficult issue. Under Colorado law, essentially, there's no way murder charges can be brought if it's not established that the fetus lived as a child outside the body of the mother for some period of time. I don't know the answer yet as to whether that could be established, what our facts are here. One of the issues that we will need to evaluate in connection with that is the medical information we get from the autopsy.
So that is a key part of the investigation?
It is.
And
Yeah.
what would that be, and how long a period of time this child perhaps had to live?
That's right. And the point of this statute, and the reason I passed the statute out, is the statute was intended to provide a legal criminal remedy when there is a criminal act that causes the death of a fetus, but the fetus did not live independently as a child.
How long would that, in order for a murder charge, or I assume child abuse would be the same kind of situation, how long is for some time? Is it a breath, is that
yeah.
a half hour?
You know, let me say this, Julie, the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals will get to tell us that eventually. They have, the law is not, as in many areas, is not terribly clear in terms of that, and of course cases vary on their facts.